Welcome to what I consider one of the most exciting developments in modern research methodology. I'm thrilled to guide you through Module 10, Mixed Methods Research, beginning with our foundational lesson today. Imagine being a detective who's not limited to just fingerprints or just witness interviews, but can skillfully combine both to solve complex cases. That's exactly what mixed methods research allows us to do in the world of academic inquiry. Today's lesson is themed Combining the Best of Both Worlds, because that's precisely what we're learning. When and why to integrate different research approaches to tackle questions that single methods simply cannot handle alone. Over the next few minutes, we'll build your foundational understanding step by step. By the end, you'll have the knowledge to recognize when mixed methods is the right choice, and the confidence to begin your own mixed methods journey. Let's dive in. Let me share exactly what you'll master by the end of our time together, and more importantly, why each of these skills matters for your research future. First, you'll define mixed methods research with precision. Not just a vague sense, but using established criteria that separate true mixed methods from studies that simply collect different types of data. This precision prevents costly mistakes in research design. Second, you'll trace the fascinating evolution of mixed methods through 3 distinct historical phases. Understanding this history isn't academic trivia. It reveals why certain approaches work and others fail, saving you from repeating past mistakes. Third, you'll identify 5 specific contexts where mixed methods creates genuine added value. Think of these as your decision-making toolkit for when to invest in methodological complexity. Finally, you'll apply a systematic framework to evaluate whether any research scenario would benefit from mixed methods. This is your practical tool for making smart methodological choices. These aren't just learning objectives. They're your pathway to mixed methods competency. Let's start with a definition that will serve as your North Star throughout this module. Mixed methods research involves the collection, analysis, and integration of both qualitative and quantitative data within a single study or program. Now, I want you to notice 3 critical action words in that definition: collection, analysis, and integration. Each represents a distinct phase where mixed methods differs from simpler approaches. This definition rests on 4 non-negotiable elements. First, you must collect both qualitative and quantitative data. And I mean genuinely both, not just a few quotes sprinkled into a quantitative study. Second, you conduct rigorous analysis using both approaches according to their respective quality standards. No shortcuts allowed. Third, and this is where many studies fail, you integrate findings rather than simply presenting them side by side. Integration means creating something new from the combination. Fourth, you develop what we call meta-inferences. Insights that exceed the sum of the parts, conclusions that neither method could have produced alone. Master these 4 elements, and you'll distinguish genuine mixed methods from studies that merely use multiple data collection techniques. This distinction will guide every decision you make moving forward. Let me clear up some dangerous misconceptions that lead researchers astray. Understanding what mixed methods is not is just as important as understanding what it is. Mixed methods is intentional integration throughout your entire research process, from initial design through final interpretation. It's strategic combination guided by your research questions, where methodological synergy creates added value that justifies the extra complexity. However, and this is crucial, mixed methods is not simply using multiple methods in parallel without integration. I see this mistake constantly, and it wastes enormous resources while producing inferior results. It's not something you default to when you're unsure which single method to use. That's methodological confusion, not sophistication. And contrary to what many believe, mixed methods is not automatically better than single method studies. Sometimes a well-executed single method study far exceeds a poorly integrated mixed methods attempt. The key distinction lies in intentionality and integration. Ask yourself, am I deliberately combining methods to create insights that neither could achieve alone? If not, you're conducting multiple separate studies, not mixed methods research. Integration is the beating heart of mixed methods research, and it can happen at multiple strategic points throughout your study. Let me walk you through each one. Integration points flow systematically. Design integration occurs when you plan how methods will work together. Data collection integration happens when you coordinate different data gathering approaches. Analysis integration combines findings from both traditions. Interpretation integration creates unified conclusions. Meta-inferences represent your unique contribution, conclusions drawn from integrated findings that neither method could produce independently. These justify your methodological complexity. Methodological coherence ensures philosophical alignment across components. You can't simply bolt together incompatible approaches and expect meaningful results. That's methodological chaos, not integration. The added value principle is your litmus test. Your combined approach must answer questions that neither method could address alone. If a single method would suffice, mixed methods becomes an expensive luxury rather than a necessity. Finally, you need an explicit integration strategy. Integration doesn't happen by accident. It requires deliberate planning, specific skills, and careful execution. These characteristics become your quality checklist for evaluating mixed method studies and designing your own research. Understanding mixed methods history isn't just academic nostalgia. It reveals why current approaches work and helps you avoid historical mistakes. Let's explore 3 transformative phases. Phase 1, spanning the 1950s through 1970s, established crucial foundations. Campbell and Fisk's groundbreaking 1959 work on the multi-trait multi-method matrix demonstrated how multiple methods could validate psychological constructs more effectively than single approaches. The triangulation concept emerged during this period, emphasizing multiple methods to validate findings. Think of it as getting a second opinion, but with research methods. Pioneering sociological studies began combining surveys with ethnography in community research, discovering that different methods revealed different aspects of the same phenomena. Surveys told researchers what people did. Interviews revealed why they did it. The key insight from this era was recognizing that methodological diversity strengthens rather than weakens research conclusions. However, this period's limitation was viewing integration primarily as validation rather than synthesis. Researchers used multiple methods to confirm findings rather than create new understanding. This foundation was necessary, but insufficient for today's sophisticated approaches. Phase 2, the infamous paradigm wars from the 1970s through 1990s nearly destroyed mixed methods before it could fully develop. This conflict teaches us valuable lessons about methodological dogma. The battle positioned quantitative and qualitative approaches as incompatible worldviews, like matter and antimatter, that couldn't coexist. Key debates raged over positivism versus interpretivism, objectivity versus subjectivity. Polarization effects forced researchers to choose methodological sides, creating tribal loyalties that persist today. You were either a quantitative researcher or a qualitative researcher, never both. However, courageous voices began questioning this artificial either-or paradigm. Some scholars recognized that both approaches had unique strengths and limitations that could complement rather than compete. The critical realization emerged that research questions, not philosophical allegiances, should drive methodological choices. If your question requires both numerical patterns and lived experiences, why limit yourself to one approach? This period's conflict was ultimately productive, clarifying the distinctive contributions of each approach and setting the stage for their eventual integration. The paradigm wars taught us that methodological diversity strengthens the research enterprise. Phase 3 represents the triumph of integration over division, establishing mixed methods as a legitimate and powerful research approach from the 1990s to present. Tashikori and Tedley's 1998 handbook provided the first comprehensive treatment of mixed methods, offering systematic guidance rather than ad hoc methodological combinations. This was the field's declaration of independence. Creswell and Plano-Clark developed systematic design typologies, giving researchers clear frameworks for different mixed methods approaches instead of inventing from scratch. The Journal of Mixed Methods Research, launched in 2007, provided a dedicated scholarly venue for advancing the field and establishing quality standards. The Mixed Methods International Research Association created a global community of practitioners and scholars, fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing. Today, mixed methods enjoys recognition as the third methodological movement, standing alongside quantitative and qualitative traditions as an equal partner. This formalization means you now have systematic guidance for conducting rigorous mixed methods research, complete with established quality criteria and peer review processes. The field has matured from experimental combinations to established methodology with clear standards for excellence. Mixed methods required new philosophical foundations to justify combining previously incompatible approaches. Enter pragmatism, the philosophical revolution that made mixed methods possible. Pragmatism emphasizes consequences and utility over abstract philosophical purity. Rather than asking which paradigm is correct, pragmatists ask which approaches answer research questions most effectively. The "what works" orientation drives method selection by research questions rather than philosophical preferences. If your question requires both numerical patterns and lived experiences, pragmatism says use both approaches without apology. Pragmatism's anti-dualistic stance rejects either-or, thinking in favor of both, and integration. This philosophical flexibility enables the methodological creativity that makes mixed methods powerful. Key pragmatists like Charles Sanders Peirce, William James, and John Dewey established foundations for this flexible approach to knowledge creation centuries before mixed methods emerged. Johnson and Onwegbuzi's modern application shows how pragmatic principles guide contemporary mixed methods research decisions. Importantly, pragmatism doesn't ignore philosophical considerations. It subordinates them to practical research effectiveness. Philosophy serves research rather than constraining it. This philosophical flexibility is what separates mixed methods from rigid methodological orthodoxies. While pragmatism arguably dominates mixed methods philosophy, alternative positions offer additional options for different research contexts and purposes. Critical realism proposes multiple levels of reality accessible through different methods. Surveys might capture surface behaviors, while interviews reveal underlying psychological mechanisms driving those behaviors. The dialectical stance embraces contradictions and tensions between paradigms, viewing conflict as productive rather than problematic. Sometimes the tension between different findings generates the most important insights. Transformative frameworks prioritize social justice orientations, where methodological choices serve equity and empowerment goals rather than abstract knowledge generation. Multiple paradigm approaches use different philosophical frameworks for different research phases. Perhaps positivist assumptions for measurement phases and interpretivist assumptions for meaning-making phases. Philosophical pluralism accepts diverse epistemological foundations within single studies, recognizing that complex phenomena may require multiple ways of knowing. These alternatives demonstrate that mixed methods philosophy continues evolving, offering options beyond pragmatism for different research purposes and contexts. Choose the philosophical foundation that best serves your research goals. Why choose mixed methods over simpler alternatives? These are the primary rationales to justify this methodological complexity, and understanding them helps you select appropriate approaches. First, triangulation seeks convergence across methods for validation. When surveys and interviews yield similar conclusions, your confidence in findings increases dramatically. Second, complementarity uses different methods to address different aspects of phenomena. Quantitative methods excel at identifying patterns across large populations. Qualitative methods excel at explaining why those patterns exist. Third, development occurs when one method informs development of the other. Interview themes might generate survey items, or unexpected statistical findings might guide follow-up interview questions. Fourth, initiation discovers contradictions that lead to breakthrough insights. When methods yield conflicting results, investigating these contradictions often produces the most important discoveries. Fifth, expansion extends the breadth, scope, and range of research beyond what single methods allow, addressing multiple research questions within coherent frameworks. Each rationale serves different research purposes and contexts. Understanding these rationales helps you select appropriate mixed methods approaches for your specific research goals rather than using mixed methods generically. Now let's examine these specific contexts where mixed methods adds genuine value, starting with complex phenomena that single methods cannot fully capture. Use this approach when studying multifaceted social, health, or organizational issues that have both measurable and experiential dimensions. Consider the challenge of understanding factors affecting student retention in higher education. This is inherently complex, involving statistical patterns and personal experiences. Quantitative components might examine demographic predictors, GPA correlations, and retention rates across different student populations, revealing statistical patterns and risk factors. Qualitative components explore individual student experiences, institutional culture, and personal challenges that numbers cannot capture, revealing the human story behind the statistics. Integration provides a comprehensive picture of both what factors predict retention and why these factors matter to actual students in their daily lives. The added insight enables policy recommendations based on both statistical evidence and lived experiences, creating more effective and humanistic interventions. This context exemplifies mixed methods' power to address complexity that single approaches simply cannot handle. When phenomena have multiple dimensions, requiring different types of evidence, mixed methods becomes essential rather than optional. Context 2 involves sequential investigation, where research questions require one method to build systematically on another. Exploratory sequential examples begin with qualitative exploration of unknown territory. Phase 1 might explore patient experiences with new treatments through in-depth interviews, identifying key themes, concerns, and unexpected outcomes. Phase 2 develops surveys based on these qualitative themes, testing their prevalence across larger populations. Explanatory sequential examples start with quantitative analysis that raises questions. Phase 1 identifies unexpected statistical relationships through large-scale analysis. Phase 2 uses qualitative methods to explain why these relationships exist and what they mean in practice. The integration value lies in each phase informing and improving the next. Initial findings guide subsequent data collection, creating more focused and effective research than either method could achieve independently. This sequential approach proves particularly powerful for developing comprehensive understanding of new or poorly understood phenomena where existing knowledge is limited. The key is ensuring genuine building between phases rather than simply conducting two separate studies in sequence. Each phase should meaningfully inform the next. Context 3 focuses on evaluation and program assessment, where stakeholders need both outcome evidence and process understanding. Use this approach when assessing program effectiveness, where decision makers require both statistical evidence of impact and practical understanding of implementation experiences. The quantitative component provides measured outcomes, statistical comparisons, and effect sizes, answering the crucial "what happened" question with numerical precision. The qualitative component explores implementation experiences, contextual factors, and unintended consequences, answering the equally important "how and why did it happen" questions. Consider a community health intervention example. Quantitative analysis shows improved health indicators, demonstrating statistical effectiveness. Qualitative interviews reveal which specific program elements worked, which didn't, and why, identifying active ingredients for successful replication. The stakeholder value lies in actionable recommendations for program improvement based on both outcome evidence and process understanding. This integration enables program refinement and scaling rather than simple binary decisions to continue or discontinue based on outcomes alone. Mixed methods evaluation serves both accountability and learning functions simultaneously. Context 4 involves instrument development and validation, where creating new measurement tools requires iterative refinement through multiple methodological approaches. Use this approach when existing instruments don't adequately capture your constructs of interest or when working with new populations. The sequential process typically involves 3 complementary phases. Phase 1 uses qualitative methods like interviews and focus groups for item generation, ensuring content reflects target population experiences and language. Phase 2 employs quantitative methods for psychometric testing, including factor analysis and reliability assessment, establishing the statistical properties necessary for rigorous measurement. Phase 3 returns to qualitative methods through cognitive interviews to validate that respondents understand items as researchers intended, closing the loop between statistical properties and human understanding. The integration value produces measurement instruments that are both statistically sound and meaningful to users, combining mathematical rigor with human comprehension. This context demonstrates how mixed methods create superior measurement tools that neither approach could produce alone, benefiting all future research using these instruments. The result is instruments that work both statistically and practically. Context 5 addresses diverse stakeholder needs, where single research projects must serve multiple constituencies with varying evidence preferences and requirements. Use this approach when your research must satisfy different audiences who value different types of evidence for different purposes. Academic stakeholders typically prioritize statistical rigor, generalizability, and theoretical contribution, favoring quantitative evidence for peer review and publication. Practice stakeholders emphasize real-world applicability, contextual understanding, and implementation guidance, often preferring qualitative insights that inform daily practice decisions. Policy stakeholders need both population-level data for resource allocation decisions and compelling individual impact stories for public communication and political support. The integration strategy involves conducting single studies that meet multiple evidence needs efficiently, rather than conducting separate studies for each audience. This approach maximizes research impact by ensuring findings resonate with diverse stakeholder groups, increasing the likelihood of research utilization and implementation. Smart mixed methods design serves multiple masters without compromising quality for any constituency. Understanding when not to use mixed methods is as important as knowing when to embrace it. Let me share 6 situations where simpler approaches serve you better. Avoid mixed methods for simple, well-understood phenomena with established single-method approaches. Adding complexity without adding value wastes precious resources and time. Severe resource constraints that would compromise quality in either component make mixed methods inadvisable. Remember, poor execution of complex designs produces worse results than excellent execution of simpler approaches. Lack of genuine expertise in one methodological tradition creates significant risks. Mixed methods requires competence in both quantitative and qualitative approaches. Don't fake it till you make it. Tight timelines that don't allow for proper integration processes undermine mixed methods' core value proposition. Integration takes time and cannot be rushed. Research questions that can be thoroughly answered with single approaches don't justify methodological complexity. Use the simplest method that adequately addresses your question. Institutional contexts that don't value methodological diversity may not support the additional time and resources mixed methods requires. These limitations don't diminish mixed methods' value. They highlight the importance of strategic application rather than universal adoption. Let me give you a practical decision-making tool to evaluate whether mixed methods suits your specific research context. This framework prevents common mistakes while identifying genuine opportunities. Question 1. Does your research question have multiple dimensions requiring different types of evidence? Single-dimensional questions often work better with focused single methods. Question 2. Will the combination provide insights that neither method could achieve alone? This is the fundamental mixed methods test, the added value principle in action. Question 3. Do you have adequate resources and expertise for both components? Honest self-assessment prevents overcommitment that leads to poor execution. Question 4. Can you identify specific integration points that will add value? Vague integration plans predict implementation problems and weak findings. Question 5. Do your stakeholders value diverse forms of evidence? Stakeholder support affects both research funding and utilization of findings. If you answer yes to 4 or more questions, mixed methods is likely appropriate for your study. This framework prevents the common mistake of choosing mixed methods for wrong reasons while helping you identify genuine opportunities for methodological integration. Building mixed methods competency requires systematic skill development across multiple interconnected domains. Let me outline your development pathway. Core competency requirements include solid grounding in both quantitative and qualitative methods. You cannot effectively integrate what you don't understand well individually. There are no shortcuts here. Understanding integration techniques and timing means knowing how and when to combine approaches for maximum effectiveness rather than methodological confusion. Philosophical flexibility and awareness enable navigation of paradigmatic tensions without getting trapped in methodological orthodoxy or tribal thinking. Project management skills become crucial for coordinating complex designs with multiple phases, different data types, and diverse analysis approaches. Mixed methods is inherently more complex to manage. For professional development, actively seek mentorship from experienced mixed methods researchers, pursue specialized training opportunities, and engage in collaborative research that builds practical experience safely. Start small by considering embedded designs before attempting fully integrated studies. Success with simpler applications builds both confidence and competence for more ambitious projects. Remember, mixed methods expertise develops over time through practice, reflection, and continuous learning. Be patient with yourself. As we conclude today's foundation lesson, let me preview the exciting journey ahead in this module and leave you with an important reflection. Lesson 2 focuses on formulating mixed methods, research questions, and design selection, the crucial foundation that determines everything that follows. Lesson 3 explores major mixed methods, design typologies, giving you systematic frameworks for different research purposes rather than ad hoc combinations. Lesson 4 examines sequential mixed methods designs in depth, showing you how to build effectively and efficiently from one phase to another. Lesson 5 covers concurrent and complex mixed methods, designs for addressing the most challenging, multifaceted research problems. Lesson 6 delves into integration strategies across all research phases, the technical heart of mixed methods practice where the magic happens. Additional lessons will continue building your expertise through practical applications, advanced techniques, and real-world case studies. Your development goal is ambitious but achievable. Moving from mixed methods consumer to competent practitioner, someone who can design, implement, and evaluate high-quality mixed methods research. As we conclude today, take a moment to reflect on this question. Which of the 5 contexts we discussed today resonates most strongly with your research interests and career goals? This reflection will guide your learning throughout our remaining time together. Thank you for your attention and engagement. I'll see you in our next lesson where we'll dive deeper into the art and science of mixed methods research.